Today I want to tell you the story of the hand. And in particular this hand, right here. Not your hand, but my hand. 6 weeks ago, after having some pain in this wrist for about 2 weeks and ignoring it, I attempted to push a gym bag into a cupboard, and I heard a snap, almost like that. And it was as if someone had taken a .22 pistol and shot me in the wrist. I went straight to my knees, let out a yelp, put some bandage around it, went to the orthopedist. He said, "You've either pulled the tendon away from the bone or you've broken the tendon." That wasn't good news. Well, I got a second opinion. I got an MRI and a second opinion. It turned out I hadn't actually torn it away from the bone or broken it entirely, but I had torn it pretty badly. And so for 6 long weeks I had a brace on this hand. You can still see the bruise from where the brace sat. It took less than, well, my fingers are kind of dry, that long to snap that tendon. It took 6 long weeks to heal it, and it's still not quite healed. I mean, it's okay, I can use it. But I have to be careful of it. I can't just go out and do what I used to do. Now, I was warned by pain that something was wrong here. I didn't know what was wrong. God didn't come up and say, "You've got a bad tendon in there, it's going to break." But I was warned by pain that something was wrong. Now, if when that pain started, I had gone to get perhaps an MRI or gone to an orthopedist and he'd said, "Well, I think maybe you're tearing a tendon, why don't you wear this thing for a couple of weeks and let it heal up?" I might have, God knows, only had to wear it for a week or 2 for that damage to repair itself. The difference between ignorance and stupidity is that an ignorant person doesn't know any better, and a stupid person knows better and goes ahead and does it anyway. Or as that movie, which I can't remember the name of, said, "Stupid is as stupid does." Now this hand, I say I want to tell you the story of the hand because this hand is representative of life. In our city, a policeman has been relieved of his duty. He'll probably never work as a policeman again. Because allegedly, now we don't know the facts of the case, but allegedly what happened is they were staking out a drug house and he saw a policeman friend of his go into the drug house. He knew the guy had a problem of some sort. And in a moment of compassion for his friend, he got on his cell phone and texted his friend to get the heck out of there. Now I know, because I know a lot of policemen, that he put a lot of people in jeopardy. He could have got somebody killed. If the guy had told the drug people in there, they would have been armed when they went in and they could have gotten people killed. He did a very, very wrong thing. Now, we have our holy book of destiny, but the Christians have something called the Bible. And in the Bible, it says, "No greater love hath any man that he would lay down his life for his friend." Well, this guy laid down his career. He'll probably work as a crossing guard or security guard for the rest of his life. Whether he'll ever work as a cop again, we don't know. So he laid down his career for his friend. Was it wrong? Yes, it was wrong. He'd been on the force for 10 years. A good guy. I knew him well. Very, very good man. And yet, in this one moment, just like this tendon snapped, he did something that will take him the rest of his life, probably, to recover from. Now this is a little sore, but his life is going to be sore for a long time. You see. Now, what I really want to talk to you about, and the reason I said I want to tell you the story of the hand, is because we have some confusion in our society. Christianity, a wonderful religion when it's practiced in its purity, dominates our society. In fact, dominates most of the world except for Islam and Buddhism, the three big ones. And Christianity is based upon the forgiveness of sins. A wonderful thing. A wonderful thing. Okay? Now this policeman committed a sin. Just like I did when I ignored this pain. He ignored his conscience. He ignored everything he knew, and he went ahead and texted this message anyway. Allegedly. We don't know that. That's what he allegedly did. And I ignored this pain. And the long-term suffering that comes from this sin, it's a sin, is pretty miserable. I'm always going to worry about this thing now, and he's going to have a really rough road to travel. That's sin. See? What he did by texting his friend was a sin. It was a sin against his brother and sister police officers. It was a sin against the law. And that's what a sin is. It's violating the law, whether God's law or natural law. I violated natural law. He violated police law. Now, in this case, it's kind of tough, isn't it? Because we would say, he followed God's law. It says right in the Bible that you should lay down your life for your friends, so your career is not quite as bad as much as your life. He violated man's law, but kept God's law, didn't he? I violated natural law and paid the price. Still paying the price. So we have this thing called sin, which is blame. It's guilt. Is he guilty of doing this? Yes, absolutely. If it's true. And it's all allegations so far. If it's true, then he is guilty. The question is he blameful? Are we blameful when we act perhaps misguidedly, foolishly, out of compassion, out of love for a brother or a sister or a friend? See, I think God's going to forgive him for that. I know God's going to forgive him. Now, I don't know if he's Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, Muslim, or anything else, but God's going to forgive him for that, right? Yeah? And, I think God will probably forgive me for being stupid about my wrist. So, this is what we're talking about when we say sin. If you violate God's law, then that's bad news, man. That's worse news than violating the law of the Redondo Beach Police Department. I hope. And that can cause you a long-term pain. It's amazing in this world. You can go along, and a guy could be a perfectly honest, forthright, upright citizen and let's say FBI agent for 35 years, and in a moment of weakness stumble, and all of that is wiped out. Well, what else is new? You can eat healthy. You can put on spandex pants and funny little droid-like hats and ride your bicycle all over the place. Eat health food. Do all these other kinds of things and die of a heart attack. Who knows? Maybe bicycles cause heart attacks. Because people who ride them do have heart attacks, you know. Benjamin Franklin sold a lot of his stoves. He had a Franklin stove. The way he sold a lot of stoves is he said sitting in front of an open fire causes baldness. So everybody that was going bald bought a Franklin stove. Now it was bogus, but that's how he did it. So we have this situation in this world that it doesn't matter how much good you do if that happened. It doesn't matter how I did weights, I did all kinds of things to strengthen my wrists over the last 10 years. Didn't matter. I ignored that pain for 1 week and boom, it snapped and that was it. This guy worked for the police department. Now, if this is all true, and I'm not saying it is. Somehow in my heart I'm not really sure about all this. But this guy worked for the police department for 10 years. He risked his life. He was actually given a heroism citation for being shot at by some imbecile. And then, in 1 minute's time, he had to make a decision as to whether to save his friend or not, try to save his friend. And he chose to try and save his friend. That 1 minute will last for a lifetime, if it's true. I keep saying if it's true, because I don't know if it's true. Yeah. I sent an email to his cousin, and I said if he needs a character reference or a character witness, I don't know how much good I'll do, being a pariah, basically, in the community for speaking truth to power. But I don't know how much good I'll do, but I'll be a character witness for him. I can't speak to whether he did this or not, but I can speak to his character. He's a good man. And I talked to an ex-police chief yesterday, and he was very irate about it. He said, he could have got people killed. And I said, well, I hadn't thought of that. He said, well, that's what could have happened. These guys could have all been armed when they went in. And he could have got people killed. Still, he had to make a call, didn't he? He had to make a call. And the call he made will last for a long time. It only took a minute to do it, but it'll last for a long time. So this is what sin is all about. Now see, Jesus, according to the Christians, and I'm saying this according to the Christians, the same way I'm saying that allegedly this guy did these things. According to the Christians in the Christian Bible, if you accept Jesus, then all of your sins are forgiven. Paul of Tarsus had a really bad time with that, because he went to the Greeks. The Greeks liked to party. You know, they had these long tables full of food. And Paul said, you know, wherever I go, I do what the people do. When in Rome, do what the Romans do. I think he originated that, I'm not sure. At least the spirit of it. And so he would establish a church, and he'd move on to establish another. He didn't stay very long. He'd just get established. And pretty soon he found out these people are having orgies. They're eating themselves into gluttony, and they're having orgies and drinking themselves into oblivion. And when he questioned them, they said, we're forgiven. We don't have to worry about that stuff. Hey, Jesus forgave us our sins. We can boogie. And he tried to explain to them, no, it doesn't quite work that way, but we're forgiven. So let's see. Now, are you just forgiven your past sins? Or are you forgiven your present sins? Or are you forgiven your future sins? This is a question that no Christian has yet answered adequately to me. And I grew up in Christianity. I was going to be a Lutheran minister. I asked these questions of the people in my Lutheran church, and they said, maybe you shouldn't be a Lutheran minister. And I said, maybe I shouldn't. You can't answer this question. People answer it, but it's not an adequate answer. But I will accept, as one who was originally baptized as a Christian, I will accept that Jesus can forgive your sins. Sorry, Charlie. I do accept that. So if you want your sins forgiven, then you can do that. Now this guy, Jesus would probably forgive him, because I think it was Jesus, if I remember right, who said, no greater love hath any man than he would lay down his life for his friend. Yeah. And this wasn't even his life, it was just his career, but nonetheless, same kind of thing, huh? So I'm pretty sure that this guy's a Christian. I'm pretty darn sure that Jesus would forgive him. And he'd be free of the guilt of that sin. Now, the police department is not Jesus, and so they're not going to forgive him. So we've got two things here now, don't we? We've got sin, guilt, but we've got something else, don't we? We've got this thing here. Sin, and we've got something that in the East for thousands of years has been called karma. People have a misunderstanding of karma, just like they have a misunderstanding of sin. What is karma? Karma is the fact that even if the police department, the community, the mayor, everybody forgave this guy for taking on an act of compassion out of love for his friend, he would still be without a career for the rest of his life, if it's true. See, that's karma. Wow. Karma is that this tendon, you can see it's a little puffed up there, this tendon is going to be a problem and a worry for a long, long time. Okay? So maybe Jesus forgave me for ignoring the pain. The orthopedist did. He said that's normal. People do that all the time. I wish I wasn't so normal, because that really hurts. But still, I have the situation to contend with. Let me put it this way. Let's suppose that a cop has a 5 or 6-year-old kid. And he comes home late, he's tired, he's been working 12 hours, he leaves his gun on the nightstand. And in the morning he wakes up, sits up in bed, and there's this kid with the gun like this, going, "Daddy!" Boom! And he blows a 2-inch hole in the guy's chest and kills him. That child didn't know that he was going to kill his dad. That child didn't know that that gun was loaded. That child didn't even know that that gun was real. Did he?
No.
No court in the land would hold that child as guilty of murder. No child, no court in the land would do that. So, as far as sin goes, I'm quite sure Jesus would forgive him too. So over here we have the sin part, he's not guilty anymore. But over here we have what is called karma. Which is that this kid, no matter how much he is forgiven by Jesus, or Buddha, or Muhammad, Rama, Krishna, Abraham, Moses, or whoever else, he's going to grow up without that father. He's going to grow up without that father. That's karma. Sin may be forgiven. Karma can't be. Sorry, guys. People come to me all the time and go, "How can I escape my karma?" I say, "You can't." That's why it's called karma. Karma is the universal law of cause and effect. It is the universal law that you will certainly, without fail, absolutely experience the effects of your own causes, and there's no way out. There's no way out. That's why when God created this universe, He made it so that we don't just live once, we live a lot of times. How are you going to work out this karma if you don't live over and over again? You see, the problem is that every time you have another lifetime, you're going to screw up again, maybe. And then you get more karma. There's an interesting movie by Bill Murray in it called Groundhog Day. I'd suggest you go out and watch it. The basic plot of the movie, without giving it all away, it's a very funny movie, is that he tries to straighten out a situation, and every day he wakes up, it's the same day, and the situation just gets worse. So you see, every time we're born again into this world, we have the potential to work out our karma and attain perfect final union with God. We also have the potential to forget that, you should go to the orthopedist when your wrist hurts, or make a different decision with regard to your friend. I'm not sure which way is right with this. Yes, he did, if this is true, jeopardize his fellow police officers. They didn't get shot. The cop that was in the building didn't alert the drug dealers. And he did something out of, if it's true, he did something out of compassion for his friend. I don't know what's going to happen to him in the judicial system or in the city, but I know that God's going to give him a kick in the butt for being stupid. Remember I said ignorance is not knowing and stupidity is knowing and doing it anyway? They're going to give him a kick in the butt for being stupid and probably a pat on the back for being compassionate. I hope that's the case. But you cannot escape karma. Jesus, unless he comes back and stands in the bedroom where this man is laying in bed with a 2-inch hole in his chest from having a .45 hollow point blown through him, unless he comes back and stands in that bedroom, heals the guy completely, reverses time and puts it all back so that it doesn't happen, unless that happens, that kid is going to grow up without his father. Now, he may get another father. His mother may remarry. But he's not going to have that father. That's karma, folks. Karma is, if you'll excuse me, take your kids away from the television or the computer for a minute, okay? Karma is a bitch.
Yes.
When I was a kid, my best friend's grandparents lived next door. His grandmother's name was Dovey. She was a wonderful woman. And I've forgotten his grandfather's name, but he did a lot of woodworking. He was a real craftsman with woodworking. And one day we heard a shout. And so we went over there, and what had happened is he was cutting a board and he cut his finger off. Oh. Well, now back in those days, they didn't have the technology to reattach fingers very well. So he spent the rest of his life without a finger. Now, was he guilty? Yeah, he's guilty of injuring a human being himself. Did God forgive him for that? Yeah, because it was what we call an accident. Could he escape the karma of living like this for the rest of his life? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so you can walk the path like a saint, as if you're a tightrope walker. You know, up 4 stories up in the air, walking between 2 buildings. And you can walk that tightrope 1,000 times, but if you miss once, you're dead. That's karma. Karma is a bitch. And karma is what keeps us coming back here time after time after time. Sin may get you sent to hell, where you have to work it out. Karma gets you sent back here to do it again. I cringe when ignorant people, not stupid people, but ignorant people, say to me, well, I don't have any need for your religion, Maitreya. After all, I want to come back here. Look, I enjoy life. And I look at them and I go, yeah, look, you're pretty, you're slim, you have a good education, you make money, you drive a nice car, you go out and you party every night or once a week, or you've got a good husband, you've got kids, you've got a nice house and everything else. Of course you want to come back here. Try being a sex slave in Bangladesh. Try that on for size. We saw a movie a couple of weeks ago, and at the end of it, it stated that there are over 2.5 million boys, girls, men, and women who are sold into slavery by monsters in this world every year. 2.5 million. Do you know what kind of suffering that is? So how about this nice, pretty, slender housewife that has 3 kids getting snatched off the street and sold into sexual slavery in Saudi Arabia to some scumbag? How's that grab you? God would forgive her for having extramarital sex, believe me. So would Jesus, because she has no choice. She's probably full of heroin or something like that. But she will still suffer the effects of having been snatched off the street. So this is where we get into stupidity. People say, oh, I don't worry about it. I just walk down the street any time of night or day. I'm not going to let I'm not going to worry about what people are going to do to me or anything like that. I'm not going to spoil my life. No, but they can, and they will, if you're not on guard. So, we have sin and we have karma. This, yeah, Jesus can take that and throw it away. Jesus doesn't take this and throw it away. It may make your heart feel better. See, this is Jesus' domain over here. This is my domain over here. God sent me back to this world after having attained perfect final union with Him because of the suffering, the sorrow, the fear, the pain, the old age, the sickness, the death and rebirth that the souls of this world suffer. I can't take away your karma. Please don't come here and say, please just take my karma. If I could, I probably would. I'm that stupid. But I can't. So what good am I? Well, because I sacrificed my perfect final union with God, which is 100 million billion times more than my life, for my friends, for the souls of this world. And because I made a vow to God that I would never again enter into perfect final union with Him, not because I don't want to, but I would never again enter into perfect final union with Him until I had seen every soul in this creation safely home into perfect final union with Him before me. But that instead I would return to this world and live in this ordinary body as an ordinary man until my time comes to depart this place. And then I would enter into the spirit realm and live in the heart of every soul, guiding every soul home to Him. He didn't tell me that I was going to have prostate cancer. I don't think He was withholding information. It's just my choice. So I came back. When I came back, it was 1977. I came back. 2001, I ended up with prostate cancer. Got something done about it. 2005, it metastasized into some bone stuff. I've been fighting it ever since. I take drugs to keep my testosterone down. I got estrogen patches on my body to keep my to suppress the testosterone, to keep this stuff from growing. I'm doing good. But every day of my life, I have to fight this demon. So far, there's no cure. Don't know if there ever will be. But, you see, regardless, we're all going to die. Oh, I don't want to listen to this. I want to turn on the football game. I want to listen to the guy with the big hair talk about eternal life. Believe me, you don't want eternal life. Eternal life would mean coming back here day after time after time after time, like Groundhog Day, forever. No, we're going to go to heaven and we're going to have this body and it's going to be perfect and it'll never get old, it'll never age, it'll never have an ache or a pain, not a wrinkle, everything will be perfect. I have 20/20 vision, everything else. It reminds me of a story that I heard once. This guy, who was not a very good guy, died. And this angel met him and said, you know, I'm going to let you take your choice where you want to be. And so he showed him different places. And there was this one place and it was perfect. It had all these, you know, it's like Las Vegas and Palm Springs combined. It had all these bathing beauties and everything else. And so he said, well, you know, that's not bad. The next morning he woke up in this place. Silk sheets, people brought him breakfast in bed. He looked at his lotto card. He had won the $50 million lotto. He went out on the golf course. He played 12 holes or whatever they play and got a hole in one every time. Every time he went by the pool, he scored. When he would talk to somebody, they all loved him. Everything went perfect. And this went on for a while. This was really good, you know. But after a while, it began to wear on him. He tried to do something wrong. It didn't work. So finally, called up this archangel. And he said, you know, I was a really bad person in my life. And I don't understand why I'm here. I thought I would go to hell. Archangel said, where do you think you are? You don't want to come back here. This is all we know in this life, so we think that it's important. You don't want to come back here because this isn't who you really are. This is who you're acting. This is the character you're playing in this divine play for this scene. But there's going to be a lot of scenes. You're playing Alice, you're playing Bill, you're playing Sam, you're playing Harry, you're playing Wilhelmina this time. But you see, you are not the character, you are the actor. And who is the actor? The actor is God. You are, in your most essential essence, inside, beyond the veils of ignorance and delusion, you are God. Not the God. Don't get a big fat head over it and go running around telling people, Maitreya said, I'm God, so you got to listen to me. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is that the same way that a cup of water taken from the ocean is ocean, you are the same essence that God is. You're not different. You're not even separate. You're like a wave that rises on the ocean, lingers for a time, and then goes back into the ocean. When you're ocean, everything is more than perfect because you are God. You are totally one with God. There's no separation at all. But when you're the wave, there's turmoil. Go down to the beach, watch the waves. How they boil and there's turmoil and there's all kinds of things going on. But when it subsides back into the ocean, it's calm, it's peaceful, it's beautiful. And that's what you are. You say, well, can I just go back there then? Can I just go, stop being the wave? Not exactly. People will come here and they will say to me, are you trying to tell me that you can save me from hell? No. I can't save you from hell. At least I'm being honest with you, aren't I? I can't save you from hell. Because hell is part of the process of going home to God. When you leave this world, you will go to hell. I mean, Jesus can make you not go to hell, but you're still going to come back here, and eventually you're going to have to go through hell. Because what is hell? Hell is that state of spiritual beingness where you are burning off the sins and karmas that you acquired in the lifetime before. Some people call it purgatory, and they try to make a difference, but it's not. It's all purgatory. You're being purged of this wrongness, this darkness, this evil that you've done in this lifetime. So you're all going to go through this thing. The sooner you make up your mind to it, the better. It's kind of like having an abscessed tooth. You're going, I don't want to go to the dentist, I don't want to go to the dentist. You're taking Vicodin, you're doing all kinds of stuff, and it still wakes you up in the middle of the night, and eventually you say, okay, I'll go to the dentist. So you go in and it hurts like hell, excuse my metaphor, but when you come out, a couple days later, it feels really good. We're all going to go through hell. And it's okay, because you notice I say we go through hell, not to hell. See, this is a misunderstanding. It's a terrible misunderstanding. We go through hell. Now, is hell eternal? Yeah, it is. Well, how can you say that we go through it if it's eternal? Because time and space are a function of creation. When we leave this body behind and we leave this world behind, time and space cease to exist. Everything is eternal. But it still comes to an end. For you. When I was in college, I thought that was eternal too until I got my degree. Am I never going to get my degree? I got my degree. I thought, oh, that was fast. It's the same with hell. When I died and went into perfect final union with God, the first thing I did was go to hell. Oh, that means you're evil! You're bad! You're evil! Wait a minute. When Jesus was crucified, he descended into hell. He was trying to tell you what happens to you. And then he ascended into heaven. Same thing happened to me. I went through the whole hell state. Eternal, painful, absolutely horrid. And then when that was done, completely done, and nothing was left, then I got heaven. Now heaven was beautiful. It was magnificent. It was everything. You know, the things that Christians say about heaven is an insult. You know what? It's an insult because the way they describe it is a piece of crud. The way it is so far beyond what they describe, so magnificently more amazing that what they're saying is a slander. And so there I was in heaven, enjoying, I can't even express it. And then when I burned up all of my good karmas, all of my good deeds, all of my goodness, then I saw a path. And it split like this. One went this way, one went that way. And at the end of this path was the sun, at the end of this path was the moon. And at the end of this path was perfect final union with God. And at the end of this path was rebirth into this world. The sun being representative of the Father and the moon being representative of the Mother. That's how we get back here. We were born through a woman. You know? And since I had completed what I had to do, I went by the path of the sun and entered into perfect final union with God. I did that twice in my life, but I'm not going to describe it all because it's too lengthy. I'm talking about the last time. And there I was. The wave had gone back into the sea. The drop of water had fallen into the sea and become one with the sea. And then God asked me to come back here again. Why did I come back here? Well, I want to believe, and if this story about this policeman is true, I want to believe that I came back here. I want to believe that he called his friend or texted his friend for the same reason I came back here. I came back here because seeing the suffering of all souls, this grinding, this mill, this grinding wheel, crushing people and reborning them into sin and karma and misery was too much for me. And that's why I made that vow of compassion. And then something happened that I didn't expect. See, I didn't know this. I didn't have a little plan like that. People say, God has a plan for you. Well, he didn't tell me what it was. And I'll tell you what his plan for you is. It's not for you to be a doctor, a lawyer, an Indian chief. It's not for you to be beautiful or to be ugly. It's not any of that kind of stuff. God's plan for you is freedom. The freedom to make out of your life anything you want to make out of it within your capabilities. And so I made this vow, and God did something absolutely awesome beyond anything else I can tell you. He said, from this day forward, whosoever will receive your holy initiation, and you can call that baptism if you want to. I don't care what words you put on it. Whosoever will receive the true enlightenment of your holy initiation and follow you to the end of his life, I will give that soul what you have sacrificed for the sake of all souls. Namely, I will take that soul into perfect final union with me. Never again to be reborn, to suffer, to sorrow, to know sickness, old age, death, or rebirth. That's what my sacrifice bought for you. I know that's a cheap way to put it, that it bought it, but that's you know, somebody's got to bail you out of jail, don't they? Somebody's got to put up the money to get you out of jail if you're in jail. I put up the money. It wasn't money, though. It was my own perfect final union with God. So here I am back in this ordinary body, complete with prostate cancer. But you now have a ticket to ride. I paid for it with my own perfect final union. I gave it up and I came back here so that you could have my place. Not just one of you, but all of you. And that's good. Oh, there are times when I bounce around, I cuss and fuss and roll on the ground and scream and yell and say, "Can I get out of this?" Does that make me a bad guy? If it makes me a bad guy, then I guess Jesus was a bad guy when he said, "Father, why have you forsaken me?" when he was dying on the cross. As long as you have a body, as long as you have a mind, as long as you have a personality, you're going to do things like this. See? And so I've said, can I get out of this? And God has a very short answer for that. He said, no. Because if you get out of this, then these people don't get perfect final union with God. He'll let me out of it, bargain. He's not going to hold me to it. But I won't reject it. I haven't rejected it. Believe me, there are a lot of times I wanted to reject it. I want to go home so bad. And it's a long road I've chosen. I have put myself at the end of the line of all souls going home to God. You know, George Bush had a thing called No Child Left Behind. That didn't work out too good. But my sacrifice has made sure that no soul will be left behind. Because I'll be the last one to step across the line and turn out the light. Now, you don't have to believe me. You may say, well, that's bogus. I don't believe it. You know, I would like to have somebody come to me with a real good reason for not believing me. Other than, well, it doesn't say it in the Bible. It doesn't say it in the Bhagavad Gita. It doesn't say it in the Buddhist scriptures. It doesn't say it in the Quran. It doesn't say it here. It doesn't say it there. It doesn't say it. You know, come to me with a real reason why this is not true. Believe me, it's true. Or don't believe me. See, I know that it's true. I know the road I have to travel. And it's a long, long road. I'm willing to travel it for you. The same way this guy may have sacrificed his career for his friend. I have sacrificed perfect final union with God so that you can have it. But you got to come and get it. I'm not the pizza man. I don't deliver. And there's some things you got to do to fulfill it. Remember, God said you have to follow me to the end of your life. One of the main things that I require, and God requires, is that if you come and take this gift, you are obligated by sacred duty to turn around and transmit it to others. And bring them into this holy community of what God has named Maitreyans. Maitreyans, because they follow Maitreya. I am Maitreya, the friend of all souls. Why the friend of all souls? You don't look like such a good friend. I didn't make up the name. God said, you have sacrificed more than your life for your friends. You've sacrificed perfect final union with me for the sake of all souls. Therefore, you are Maitreya, the friend of all souls. I used to be embarrassed of that until God knocked me in the head a couple of times and said, if I said it, you better not be embarrassed of it. So I'm not embarrassed of it. So here's this gift. Please don't come and argue theology with me. Here is a book that my people have put together. It is called The Holy Book of Destiny. They even put my picture on the back. Isn't that disgusting? This is not a book written by somebody else. It's not a book of testimony. My Christian friend said that book's worthless because it's not the testimony of others. You wrote it yourself. I say no! That book is worth something because I wrote it myself. Because I said these things myself. People wrote them down sometimes, but I said them. It is the first holy book that I know of in history that's written in the first person. But he thinks that somebody else has to testify. He said, I don't believe in you. This is one of my best friends. He said, I don't believe in you. I think you're a phony. I have to say that you're a fraud because you had no witnesses to this event. And I say, my dear friend, I did have a witness to this event. The best witness there could possibly be. An unimpeachable witness. God witnessed this event. And if you want to know if it's true or not, you talk to Him. But don't be listening to the ping pong balls bouncing around inside your head. Don't be listening to your prejudices. Don't be listening to something that says, well, it doesn't say that in the Bible, so he's got to be wrong. Clear all that stuff away from your heart and your mind and go directly to God. God is my witness. I don't need any other witness. And if you can't believe me, maybe you'll believe God. Probably not. Most people who don't believe me don't believe God either. But it's here for you. I've won it. I paid the price. I made the sacrifice. I'm still making the sacrifice right now. Every day of my life I'm making that sacrifice. Every day I take these drugs and my fingers crack and my hands bleed and all the other stuff that goes with it. I'm not looking for pity. I'm just kind of telling you. Every day I get up and I can barely get out of bed, or I can barely get through the day because of the things I have to take to keep me going. I'm paying the price. And I'm happy to pay the price if you'll come and reap the reward. The only thing that really depresses me and pains me is when you don't come and you don't reap the reward. The other thing that depresses me is when people come and they take it and say, okay, I got a holy initiation, now I'm cool. Bye! No, that doesn't work. You have to follow me to the end of your life. You don't have to be a mind slave. I teach freedom. See this hand? This is the hand of freedom. This is our symbol. This is our sign. This is the hippies. This is the communists. This is the Maitreyan sign. Because it stands for free will, free choice, self-determinism, individual freedom, and absolute inescapable personal responsibility or karma. That's our symbol. Not like this, but like this. See, the Nazis did this. We do this. So this is the hippies, this is the communists, this is the Nazis, and this is the Maitreya. Freedom. That's the way we hail one another. Freedom. So it's a tough go to be a cult leader and teach freedom. That's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? Yeah, this is a cult of freedom. You got to do what I say. Be free. Well, that's about the way it is. But you also have to fulfill some duties. There's 3 sacred duties you have to pledge yourself to at the time of initiation. To preserve God's eternal universal religion. We also call it the Holy Adhyatma Yoga Dharma, which means God's eternal universal religion. To preserve God's eternal universal religion. To practice God's eternal universal religion. And to propagate God's eternal universal religion by passing this ultimate gift on to others and bringing them into the holy community of the enlightened faithful believers, the Maitreans, so that we can fulfill God's second promise. See, when all this was over, and I said, okay, and I was astonished by all this, God said, now go give this to all the peoples of the earth. And I said, how is one person going to give this to all the peoples of the earth? And God said, I will make this supreme promise. Whenever there are enough souls on this earth at any one given time that have received your holy initiation and are following you home to me, according to my new covenant that I have made with all souls, I will spontaneously and without further judgment, without any qualifications whatsoever, spread my new covenant into the hearts of every soul. And every single soul will have the opportunity to come home into perfect final union with me. The opportunity! Oh, you're trying to squeeze it. You're trying to wiggle out of this. No, the opportunity because of this. God has made freedom the highest quality of the soul. The only quality higher is that you are He. And loving Him. And loving yourself as a manifestation of Him. But other than that, freedom is the highest quality that you have. So you can say, even if He puts His new covenant in your heart, you say, I'm not going to do it. No. I think it was it Dostoevsky or somebody like that said, if somebody discovered a cure for death, there'd be some stubborn soul somewhere that refused to take it. So I'm sure there's going to be somebody that says, I'm not doing it. I'm going to go knock him in the head because I don't get to go home until he gets home. That's why I'll be in the heart of every soul, guiding every soul home to God when I leave this world. So this is the story of the hand. You're not going to get out of karma. You can be forgiven of your sins. You might even skip hell next lifetime, this lifetime. But next lifetime, you're going to get it. By the time after that, you're going to get it. You're going to get it, you're going to get it, you're going to get it. But you will always have to deal with karma. That kid who shot his father in the chest will always have to deal, even if he grows up, gets the best psychiatrist, the best priest, everything else, and grows up without one shred of guilt, he will always have to deal with the fact that he didn't have his father, not his natural father. I can't erase your karma, but I can show you and give you the way to go home into perfect final union with God where there is no longer any karma. Because you're one with Him. And what a wonderful place it is. And how much I want to be there. So you better get down here, because every time you don't come and take this gift and hang back there and go, I don't know, he might be a phony. I'm one step further away from going home. Just call this a selfish pursuit. I want to go home. You better get down here. Get down to this sanctuary down here and play it all right. Call us up on the phone. Get on the internet. Tell somebody that you want God's new covenant. And that you're willing to do these three things. Practice it, preserve it, and propagate it. Give it to others. It's not going to cost you anything. Except a little ridicule, maybe. And that's good for you. It toughens you up. So this is the story of the hand. Om Soham Tatvamasi. Om, you and I are one with the one universal God of all creation and no other. Jai Bhagavanji, victory to God the Beloved, that beloved universal I am that I am, which you are.